Today we're going to look at 7 different types of laws in the U.S. legal system. Our first type of law we've all heard before is common law. As many of you already know, common law is unwritten laws based on custom and precedent. How does that really work in the modern U.S. legal system? Today, common law can be referred to as case law. For example, in the Brown v. Board of Education, it stipulates that schools across the United States must be integrated. There are no written laws for this in any state in the Union. Also, in felony cases, state legal systems must provide an attorney if you can't afford one. This is one you can find in the U.S. Bill of Rights. As many of you know, it's probably which amendment? Most of you probably know that is the 6th Amendment, but it does not apply to state governments. It was not until Gideon versus Wainwright that English common law was applied to all state governments, in which the right of an individual to have an attorney was applied. The next type we look at is U.S. constitutional law. These are things like titles and ability can be outlawed, specific powers granted to the government, for example, the guaranteed rights of citizens, like things you find in the First Amendment. A good case to look at for that one is Texas versus Johnson. If you recall that one, you had Mr. Johnson out burning flags, protesting the U.S. government at the time. The state of Texas had a law that forbid that. He was arrested, thrown in jail. He applied to the United States Supreme Court, appealed his decision all the way up, and eventually the Supreme Court asserted that he did have a right to his First Amendment expression, freedom of expression, that he could burn the flag. And that's a good example of the U.S. Constitution and constitutional law. The next type to look at is criminal law. Most people probably get this one pretty simple. It's kind of how we deal with one another. It's kind of make sure we don't harm other people and make sure we do not harm other people's property. Good example of those kind of things would be like robbery, larceny, vandalism, arson. Those are things to look at for criminal law. Civil law talks about disputes between different people when no actually law has been broken. When you go to court for those kind of things, when you think about it, we have tort laws. A good example of tort law is how to play baseball in your backyard. You hit a ball in your neighbor's backyard while he's mowing the grass. And while he's mowing the grass, not paying attention, he steps on the ball, twists his ankle, breaks it, thus causing injury to him. You didn't really do anything wrong. You weren't breaking the law, but because of your actions, your negligence led to your neighbor getting hurt. They have the right to sue you in court for the damages. That's called tort law. Good examples of family law, divorce law, child custody, and so forth. All those things to be covered under what we know as civil law. The next type we look at is administrative law. This one's not the most exciting one out there, but for the most part, think about it, executive agencies are given documents by the president to actually enact those laws. For example, they get laws based on beef. Beef should be protected. When you go to the store and you purchase beef, you buy a steak or a roast or whatever, and it's graded based on what the FDA has set aside as a appropriate grade for this. We know that A is the best, E and F you probably don't want to touch. So those kind of things look at administrative law. Other things you look at administrative law could be pollution standards, like a company is only allowed to emit so much pollution per day, and that's actually outlawed what we call administrative law. The EPA will set those rules. Congress says we need to reduce emissions, and then they set the rules and have to follow those rules. That's a good example of administrative law. The next one to look at is statutory. These are like state laws, speed limit laws, alcohol laws, anything dealing with food inspection. When you think about this, while we have certain speed limits on certain roads, those are set by state standards and state statutory law. And that's why sometimes it's 35 in every city that's created in North Carolina. With exception, they can change the speed limits in certain parts. That's why you ever notice there's no speed limit. It's actually 35 is the correct speed limit. Alcohol laws, drinking age, where you can serve alcohol. Are you a dry or wet county? That's actually falls along that. And most of you probably know your restaurant food inspection, whereas you go to a restaurant, you see your grade on the counter or somewhere near the entrance of the restaurant, whether you may or may not want to eat at that restaurant. All that's set up by statutory law or state law. And the last one we'll look at is international law. Anything dealing with geographical agreements outside the United States, that 11-mile barrier off the coast of the United States or any country in the world. Anytime you have an agreement there, that will fall in international law. We have a world court that actually sell those kind of things. You can appeal to the world court. Some countries don't. They go to war. But there is mechanisms out there to deal with trade disputes, territorial disputes through a world court, which is located in The Hague, the Netherlands. Also, and this is comes out of this, we've had the persecution of war criminals, those which you found in Serbia during the last major conflict in that region. We had the international law there. Well, thank you very much for joining me for today's lecture on types of laws. And make sure you take care of recording your notes when you do this, and submit those to Classroom. And I will look forward to looking for them. Thank you very much.